Hey everyone, today I'm here with Mark, a LEGO Ideas creator known as Two Doors, and we're looking at his Lord of the Rings project of Sauron's Fortress, Barad Dur. How are you doing tonight, Mark?
Yeah, I'm great.
Great. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, so this project really caught my eye. It's impressive scale to it. So if
Yeah, I
anyone,
really enjoyed the challenge of creating it. It was it's funny because when you start I'd never built something like it's my first attempt at creating something of my own. So I wanted to build something challenging. I wanted to build something um, sort of in the scale, I suppose, of Orthanc, and didn't know what I was getting myself into. So over months, over
oh
months
wow,
of designing, redesigning, I spent like the base was just a nightmare. I had no idea how to create that foundation. So thank goodness for hinge plates. Hinge plates enabled me to get that lovely shape. And any time you try to do a curve in Lego, it's a nightmare. So, but hinge plates was the key, which was just fantastic. And then getting those buttresses out the front, um, using wedge plates to get security so that they wouldn't, because it being able to pick the model up and carry it around and have a firm foundation. If you haven't got that, the rest of it's
yeah,
going to
top
fall
right
apart. So,
over.
so it was a wonderful challenge, and I think that was probably the hardest part was getting that base. And over the course of because I work full time, so at night time I'd sit down and have a bit of a look, and I've got three kids, so it was
Oh
just trying to
wow, hard to find
find
time.
the space to work on it and find the space. So yeah, over the course of months, I looked at a lot of. It was fantastic to have a look at what Lego had done, um, and then when I found I can't remember what the model was, but it was the weather top set where they used the hinge plates around the base, and
Wow,
that
they
was
give you
like,
the idea
oh,
for it.
there's the solution. That's how I'll. So then incorporating it, and yeah, it
It's
was good. Yeah,
incredible
it was
for
an exciting
first
start.
build. I can't believe it's like your first custom build you've attempted. It's a very great one. I assumed you've been doing this for a while when I saw like the detail on this.
Well, yeah, I suppose it was just that having built a lot of the Lord of the Rings sets. Um, so it was getting back into it. It really went back to when my daughter was younger, about 10 years ago. We went to a convention, like a little Lego convention down where we live, and they had these old space sets, classic space from 1978, which were my first Lego sets, and it was like the wake up. You come out of your dark ages.
Yeah,
Whoa!
it brings you back.
So my dad had kept my Lego in a metal tin. So when we dropped, he lives up north, so about 600 k's from where we are, which is about five. Oh, that's not right. Just trying to do the miles comparison quickly in my head. About 400 miles away. So
Wow, quite a distance.
so when we got up there for holidays to see him, I asked if he had the tin and dug it out of the attic and brought it home and found the instructions on a Lego website. And my daughter and I put them together, and then because that was when the films were starting to come out and stuff, and I was just fell back in love. I fell back in love with the designs and the characters. So I went and built all of those with my kids, and when they were a bit younger, and came to it later, so that all the sets had been released and they come out, and then I got them on the aftermarket. I didn't buy any of them new, so.
The price
But it
jumps
was
way up a
great to
lot going
still be
through it.
able to find them.
Yeah,
They're so hard to find today. But anyway, got them, and then thought, wow, how great would it be to do something? And when they cancelled the theme, I was devastated. And I thought, you know what? Yeah. And the Lego movie came out, and it had the Sauron figure in it. Had him as one of the bad guys, and I went, I can do that. So that was long story, long story to the. But well, I'd been building, so I'd been building Lego sets. I'd been back being active, and that's probably why it took 6 months to get this built, because a lot of it was trial and error. I'm terrified to pull it apart because there's no. You don't. I didn't take photos on the journey. There's no instructions, so it would be a Anyway, that's
so
a bit of
none
a
of it
long
is
story.
So you didn't use any digital programs to build it. It's all a physical model then.
No, like I had because I purchased a lot of my old space sets were just the small models. My parents couldn't afford the large ones, So lucky enough, yeah, that 10 years ago, that I could get you could still buy old space, and there wasn't, Lego Masters hadn't started, so there wasn't this huge interest in the old Lego stuff. So I was actually able to purchase a whole lot of and stuff out from the States. To be honest, that was the best place to source things before the postage prices became too much. And so I had a whole lot of bulk sets that I purchased, like bulk Lego, and then I was able to create the models I loved, the large spaceship models when I was a kid that my parents couldn't afford. So I had a lot of leftover pieces. So I used a lot of those pieces in my modeling to try and create it, and then worked out, oh, what do I need? So I didn't have the black. So a lot of it was blue and red and yellow, grey. And then I'd basically build it to a point, and then I'd go on to brick set, and I'd it's not a brick set, brick link, and I'd source the pieces, and then I'd do it that way. And I bought the Orthanc set because it had the black. It had so much black that I bought a second Orthanc set and just pulled it all apart, and whatever I needed from there, I went and sourced. So, but it was a huge staged process. Yeah, the things that were missing, you'd make a list and then order them, and then it was just exciting when that stuff came in, because I worked with my my younger daughter, who was interested at the time.
I didn't think about the Orthanc set. I guess being the other of the two towers, yeah, it makes sense. A lot of pieces you get from that to be helpful, but it's so impressive you didn't go digital, because a lot of ideas creators, they start digital, then maybe they'll make a physical model of it to make like a better display of what it'll look like. But yeah, it's a lot more difficult to build, and you have to actually find all the pieces yourself and have the right colors and everything. And yeah, there's no the tools online that make it easier.
I suppose it's because I'm old. Like I don't know how to use the digital set. I think that's the problem. If I'd known how to use it, it's a bit like the photos that you can see my daughter showed me through Photoshop. Dad, you can do this. You don't have to have, because the original photos were just up against a wall. So and that one just didn't work. The one you can see, which I love that photo. I'm just looking down on the model, and my daughter stood up on our dining table to take that photo. But the problem is when we put that on on Photoshop, it disappeared. You actually lost. It didn't work. That one just didn't work. Whereas leaving it like that, you got the shadow, which I really liked, and yeah. But all of them were just so. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling a little bit.
No problem.
Having the modern technology, having someone show me how to use Photoshop, it meant that my daughter just whipped up that feature page. She did it in an hour for me. She made the volcano and she put the model in, and it's pretty awesome. I didn't want to get into trouble copyright wise. She warned me about you can't use this, you can't use that, don't do this.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to have used the font, the Lord of the Rings font from the films, but I didn't want to get into trouble with anybody. So anyway, but that's I suppose I'm learning that process. I'm learning how to use Photoshop, and I think going forward, I've got there's other models I've made that I just enjoyed making that that Lego stopped when they stopped making the theme. So I've made myself a Hall of the King of the Dead. I made myself the entry. I've made myself a Medusa, which I played with and mucked around with and modified over time. Anyway, but I'm posting those on some Lord of the Rings sites just to sort of help promote this model, just to say sort of once a month, oh, here's another little set that I did, here's another little idea set that I had, and I'd love to have a crack at Minas Tirith, but it's just
that would be
how do you get all that white? Yeah. That's a lot of white, a lot of grey.
Lego with licensed themes, like Lego has like a couple evergreen ones, like the superhero ones or Star Wars, that seem to never really go away. But a lot of other ones, like you look at Indiana Jones, Pirates of the Caribbean, they seem to like go once and done. But Lord of the Rings, because the new Amazon TV show is going to come out, I think it actually has a chance to make some sort of a resurgence. So this could be like a perfect time to try to get one out, because maybe by the time that it gets to the Lego review, that'll be right about the time that show is launching. So
that'd be awesome. There's so much source material. There's so much fantastic. And that's like the Silmarillion stuff. Like that goes back into even when I did an extended set of Rivendell, which I just love, and I'll share that one not as an ideas, but just so people can sort of see some of the.
That'll be great. Yeah.
They're just fantastic. They got such architectural to look at them. They're just so attractive, and the work of the two fellas. Oh, I'm embarrassed forgetting their names. How, I think, is one on the movie who did all the and I collected the calendars that those guys used to do years ago, and all the concepts, the set designs, and the fact that they built this model, like when
all practical
built,
effects, like not much CGI involved in the original movies. Yeah,
no, and they, well, that's what I had the DVD box sets, and so I'd pause they have in the making of the movies. They've got those fantastic Weta Digital and so on, and they've got a room. They've got this room that they built this this whatever it is, a 1-story, 2-story model of Barad Dur. And so they slowly panned over it. And so while they do it, I'm pausing it so I can take a screenshot, so I can then try and replicate that part. Oh, that's too complicated. And it was really, it was a great fun process, especially deciding it was going to be a model that had an interior, had play features, had things that at the time my kids could enjoy. And obviously I enjoy rotate. I put it on a Lazy Susan so I can rotate it. It sits in my office. I can turn it around. It engages me from different angles, which I really enjoyed too.
So do you take much inspiration from the Orthanc set, in the sense that it's kind of like a display model from the front, but you actually have the play rooms, like the rooms in the back for play features? It seems like
definitely. And there were a couple of things that straight away were obvious. So having a dungeon, like where Gollum's tortured in the film, where they find out he's So that on the right hand side. Yeah, if you I don't know if you can zoom in, but on the right hand side you can see there's a little made a little you got to be really, really careful because you not meant to torture or violence or stuff like that. If you go to the base set, sorry, on the page.
Let's see.
Go to the bottom one from the back. That's what we want.
All the way at the end there.
Yeah.
There we go.
There it is. So on the right hand side, so just you can see there that just created that space. And I'd love them because the golem figure they have is he's in his creeping position, but it'd be fantastic if Lego made a posable one, because the Harry Potter they had the 3/4 legs, which are just sensational for a shorter figure. So you could actually have him in there and have some orcs around, and so yeah, that was the inspiration for that space. I wanted to have a central corridor where you could have the ring wraiths coming through, and they fit in there. That really was the whole. When I was designing that, it was, can a ring wraith on a horse fit in there? If they can, okay, that'll be the height, and then let's move on to the next level. And I like you can see in the background again. You should be careful because I know Lego don't like it, but there's crucified skeletons in the back of the space, which was I like that idea that Sauron would probably have people strung up and he'd just leave them there, And I liked my undead jailer. He was just a bit of fun. Who knows? Who knows? In the books, it talks about Sauron being able to control, summon the dead, and even the chief ring wraith, the Witch King of Angmar. So that idea of he would be able to animate skeletons and he'd have them as workers, workers in his dungeon. So that was the inspiration for that bottom level, and then the second level has the trapdoor, and I thought that was just a fun little feature behind the Witch King there. And my mind when I thought about, well, what would you want? What would you want in the, it's because the books aren't very specific. They do have some detail. The movie have some detail, but I love the idea that if someone did, like you have the Easterlings, from the evil men from the north, that they'd have to be processed somewhere. They wouldn't just get to walk into Sauron's throne room. So I like the idea of having a space where they'd have to sit and talk to some nasty looking orcs, or in this case, talk to the Witch King. And if they didn't cut it, straight down the trapdoor to the dungeon. So I just like the fun of that. I like the idea of you had to be processed somewhere. You had to have a reception, like an orc receptionist. I don't know whether Sauron had the ugliest looking fella or the.
Probably, I'm picturing them all with Sauron, that ugly face and like the winning smile, and probably I can picture like him. Yeah.
Well, it sort of goes back to that great line. I love Frodo's line where Sam doesn't trust Aragorn, and he says, "I think a servant of the enemy would look fairer but feel fouler." And I love that idea that'd be your. And then the level up was just. was probably my favorite level. If you go in the pictures to the next one or the one just before it, of the
up here.
of that room, it was so much fun to design.
Oh,
So on the right hand side, yeah, Palantir, and that the original one that comes with Orthanc is just like a marble ball, but I love that one which is in the wizard battle between Saruman and Gandalf. I love that, and then you can push from underneath, push it, and it glows. It has this lovely red figure. The throne was awesome to design. I had a look. I basically just designed the throne on the basis of his helmet. So the fantastic helmet that they designed for the movie. So it has those spears on the sides, and it'd be awesome if they create, you know, a second age Sauron. It'd be fantastic to sit him in there.
Great.
On just to the left. Sorry, say that again.
I was going to say, we don't actually see him other than like the prologue in the movies. Like, I think in the books he's supposed to be somewhat of like in physical form. He doesn't appear, but yeah, in the movie he's just the eye the whole time. But yeah, it's cool to have like an actual form there.
And I love at the start of I think the start of the first film, they have him, with his ring. Like when Silver gets the ring, that figure would just be awesome. And on the left hand side of it's the right, but on the left you can see I've done a little design of Grond. And then the rings were so much fun. So on the right-hand side, you've got the 9 rings that wrap around.
Oh, it's in that image still. Oh, yeah, so those are the other rings of power in the image.
So in there on the right-hand side are the 9 rings. And I use snot bricks just so they get attached to the wall, like as trophies that he would have. And the little, I love that idea from when they did the Hobbit movies, the fact that there was like a dungeon where the bodies were kept. So having that sort of space where not only had they sort of become these wraiths, but now there's Sauron's got this key to where the bodies are. And on the left hand side, you can see the 3 rings that he's recovered from the dwarves. And on the left, I know you can't see it properly, but there's a plate that just has some dwarvish. It's a grey plate just on the left hand side. So that sort of text I took because I had multiple sets of from Moria, for example. So I was able to use parts from that set. I was able to use obviously the Orthanc set. But I love designing that and then being able to put that red banner. I think in the books, it says it's a red. I think it's a black banner with the red blazoned eye, but that was from the. Yeah, and that's from the Rivendell set where they have it's a really cool play feature where they push the button and the Gimli goes flying backwards and then you have the red eye. So it was able to repurpose those as those flags, banners behind the throne. So that was probably my favorite room to design. And if you flick to the outside, on that one.
Is there a close-up on the outside?
There will be, yeah, as you come down. So next one, hopefully.
Right here?
Give us it. Yeah, that's it. So they were an absolute, I mean, I'll turn this around just to show you where I've got it here. It was an absolute nightmare.
I can put you up on full screen so we can see it. There we go.
Sure. So it was a nightmare to design these guys and design them so that they would sit in that space.
You're a little bit far from the mic right now, not coming through.
Sorry?
You're not coming through the mic. I think you're a little bit far away from it.
Oh, bummer. Oh, okay. I'll come back. So when I put that section, if you go back to your the screen that's on the
there we go
on the Lego Ideas page.
Yeah.
So designing those spears you can see on the left and the right, designing those two and having them at different heights and having a platform where they could be suspended on. Was really challenging. But what I also wanted to do was pay some homage on the left-hand side and the right-hand side to the fact that it's coming out of this rock cliff or rock face. So, and that was actually just an exciting process of being able to work out how can I do this so that it's got stability, because I also wanted all those split windows, that idea of you are able to, as you turn the model around, you can see into the throne room, you can see into and it's quite imposing. You can see the from the other side, you can see the throne, you can see the spears of the throne, and it's just hard. It's so hard to get lighting when you've got something that's black like this, and you take a photo. Because I had to take all these photos with no flash, because the minute you use a flash, it catches all the shiny surfaces, and you just don't see anything but those shiny surfaces. But it was great fun designing that, also giving it support I think if there was a lesson to come from this, it's use less black.
Yeah,
And originally the whole thing was black. I just went over the top and then went, oh, you lose all the detail.
get
So
away with
I
some dark
changed
red.
yeah, changing it out to put in dark gray, putting in those silver highlights, the silver, the pearl dark gray, just trying to incorporate as much of that as I could. I think if I went back and redesigned it, I'd have more torches. I'd have more torches in places and
Oh yeah,
try and
fire
find
will
places.
power, yeah.
Yeah, because when you have a look at and that was one of the comments they made in the documentary, and they talk about designing the set. They said when they tried to light it, because they'd used so much black, it just got lost. And so they then went back and they added a whole lot of grey, of silver, to try and so it wouldn't just translate as like this black blob. So, and it's to some extent it doesn't do it justice, the photo, but that's true of anything. The photos never do a full justice of a model that you create.
It should do some good with some like
as you go
lighting
up,
brick.
Sorry?
I was just gonna say some like lighting brick blocks might do it some good, like in the flame.
Oh,
pieces.
absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Let's see.
So if we have a look at the room above, which is the smelting room,
around
and
here?
I just love the just the next one. Should be the next one. Should have the next room, hopefully. Yeah, so that one just above the throne room, that is very much a homage to what was in Orthanc. So Orthanc had that space. I changed the idea of having. I like the idea of the potions. I like the idea of them being darker potions. So rather than being sort of light and sort of happy potions,
like
them
the
being
medicine kind of, yeah.
Yeah, like exactly that they give to Mary, can't take his grog. So that idea of having potions that were it's probably at the worst case experimental and dangerous, and then having a place where he could create his blades. The Morgul blades would have to be forged somewhere, and so that was really where I was coming from with that smelting pot in there, and on the left some arcane books. Sauron would definitely have some literature. He'd have some books, but it'd be stuff that that he twisted, that he got from the elves, that he got from the dwarves, that he kept in that space. And I loved using the ring wraiths. I was very fortunate to have enough. I have enough. I've got the 9 ring wraiths themselves, so I could populate the whole thing with it. But that I suppose idea was, I know with Lego was to produce this set, they'd be very specific to what they'd choose. They wouldn't have 9 ring wraiths. You wouldn't have that many. So the idea that you'd have one of them, the chief ring wraith, who was responsible for forging the Morgul blades, and I love that idea. So that was great fun.
Yeah.
The one above it.
Is that good?
Sorry?
I was just gonna say it's fascinating to think of the ring wraiths in like a domestic setting, because in the movies you only ever really see them like on the move and on the hunt. We don't really ever see them like where they are at rest when they're back home in their fortress. Like what are they up to then?
Well, again, coming back to down the basement, one of them would definitely be a torturer. One of them would be a metallurgist. I love the fact that in the books it talks about the fact that they were great kings of men. So they'd all come from different areas. So I like that. If you have a look at the one above, hopefully it takes. Oh, you should go. Yep. Hopefully, it goes back the other way. Sorry, mate.
I'll zoom back around too. Let's see. Right here.
There it is. So you don't get to see the mechanism of this, but essentially what it does. I'll try and turn my screen again if you share it, and hopefully this will work.
Yep. Let me get you up big.
Thank goodness we can edit this.
Oh, it spins around. That's really cool. So I see different images on either side of that. What is it? I'm supposed to.
Sorry, say that again, John.
I see like different images on either side spinning around. Like, what is it supposed to be for there?
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely. So I'll show that again. So you've got, this is from the Orthanc set. So what they have is the photo of Radagast and a picture of Sauron, and a picture of Gandalf. So
okay.
In the Orthanc set. And then there's just a blank one. Like, I'd love to have it. What I would do is still have those 3, but have Aragorn in there. So the idea of these was, these are Sauron's think should be really cool. But the thinking behind that that design, I started with the idea of wanting to have a winch, wanting to have Sauron would have to get things from the bottom, How would he get them up to his levels? How would he? So I love the idea of incorporating that. That was I'd never done any Technic stuff before, so trying to work that out, it was fantastic. It was great fun, to be honest.
It worked pretty smoothly, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that when I had the winch, so just winding it so it would come up, it was like, well, what do I do with the rest of this space? What do I put in that location? And then with the wizard battle, they have the winch at one end, and you can put Gandalf on it. He can spin around as if Saruman's got him. It's a fantastic scene in the film. So I thought, oh, maybe I can at close quarters I can create a turntable that works so it turns around when the winch turns around. And so when that worked, I thought, well, what would I put on top of it? So I started with weapons. Initially, it had daggers and swords and stuff. And then sort of I thought, oh, it didn't grab me, that idea of what else could I do that was different. And then when looking at those tiles, I thought, oh, they look. So when I managed to work it out and get them to sit there, I thought that looks fantastic. So I love the way it moves, and I just think it's interesting. It's different to what else is sort of in the model. I wanted to create something that was distinct about it, so it wasn't just a copy of something else that had been done.
Very cool.
And then if you stay on that screen, the one above is probably one of my favorite rooms.
The mouth of
Sauron, and I love
yeah.
that figure is so cool. He is fantastic. The mouth of Sauron. And the idea that Sauron would have a trophy room, and in that trophy room on the left, you just see it past the axe. You've got Frodo's Mithril mail that they've got the orcs have fought and delivered, and then on the right hand side, and that's a bit of, again, homage to the Orthanc set, where they talk about having the staves of the 5 wizards, and 2 of them. I love that idea that Sauron.
Oh, the 2 blue wizards.
We hear about the blue wizards. Why aren't they there? Well, it's because they got too close, and they've been captured. So I had those 2 staves, and it'd be great to, if I don't know, but my thinking also would be you'd actually create some images, like you'd have some images of those guys, and you'd have a trophy room. The Morgul blade, I really liked that. That was just from they have just behind his head. You can see that mounted, and you've got the the picture of the eye, which was just that's in the Orthanc set, but it just worked beautifully here. That in his trophy room, he would have he'd have a bit of a homage to himself. The one room I'd love to add would be a dressing room. So that fantastic scene.
Oh, because we see the whip thing of the helm being put on him.
And they put it on his head. It's like, that introduction.
The timid orc, like putting it on him very carefully. Yeah.
But if you have a look in the background, it's got all these weapons that can be chosen. It's fantastic. So that would be like if I was going to change a room out, that would be a room I'd love to have. Like you said, the domestic nature of they've got to get dressed somewhere.
What do they do? Yeah, I'm not in the hunt.
Yeah, and then the top room was really just having a ladder. I had the opportunity to create a ladder that went all the way to the top. Which
image at the top.
Yeah, there is the back one. Yep. So just having that ladder that folds all the way down. If I have a quick look, I think I've got some additional pictures.
Okay.
I'll just see if I can find it.
There should be a share screen button at the bottom.
Sure.
I'm looking for that. One idea I possibly had for you is I noticed the eye right here. I'm not sure how much rotation I had, but it'd be very cool to make it if I had the ability to rotate around and actually have a light. If I had a light feature, you could actually make it like spotlight down, like shine different people. That'd be like such a cool feature.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's
I'll show you what. Yeah, I'll talk. So I'll see if I can find this. I thought I had one with it down. It's very frustrating. Sorry, John.
Oh, no problem. We can crop this part out because it's recorded if it's a waiting time.
No worries. Okay. So let's find. So share. Oh, there it is. Cool. Okay.
Should be a share screen button at the bottom, and let's see.
If I've done something wrong.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
There we go.
Cool. So does that mean I can show you a photo? So this is a side shot that has, you can see the ladder extended all the way down. So that was part of the thinking behind that. So it folds up, you can see up in here, and then comes down into that space. So it was just great fun to be able to create something like that. And again, that is in the Orthanc set, but not to the same scale. They just have a shorter space. Yeah, and I've modified what's inside that space as well. But it's if there's a look at it, if there's a weakness in the set, I'd love that. I'd change that to have the sort of dressing room type thing. I do like the ladder though. The ladder was just a fun thing to create. All right, I'll give you back control. Hopefully that's done that.
Awesome.
So goodness me, sorry, I'm getting a bit lost now about how do I give that back to you.
I got it back up on the screen now.
Okay, cool. So probably the most exciting thing and the hardest challenge as I got to the top, because it was in my that front view is probably the one. Yep, if you go along
right there.
Yeah, okay, that shows some incredible. This was really. If you go around the other side to the front.
Let's see. Oops, where is that side? Right here.
Yeah, that one. That one.
I think
that one there. Oh no, that's there should be one.
Right here we are.
There it is. This was because I'd always built. So when I created that space down the bottom, you see where I put in the bars and so on. What I wanted to do was stagger that. So in the source material I had, it had the staggered structure of it. And then getting to the top of it was having that sort of finish. That I loved using the I'm not sure what sort of bricks they're called. The ones that have the have vertical lines and horizontal lines to create that perception of a. I really enjoyed that texture and the texture on the sides, putting the plates on to give it structural stability. As I was getting higher, snot bricks were fantastic on the sides, and then putting plates for decorative purposes, so that it wouldn't fall apart. Because picking it up, that happened really early. Like when I got to the throne room, it became really obvious that as I got higher, if I didn't have things supporting the sides of it, it would topple. And I also didn't want to be able to take the levels off. That could be something you could create. But I think because of how tall it is, it's the risk of it just falling apart. So as I was working towards the top, it was, what am I going to do with the eye? Like how am I going to create this? And I think that the solution really came when I worked on the eye itself, because I didn't have the top part finalized. I had that platform, the idea of, well, I knew I wanted to have something. I knew I wanted to suspend it. And then trying to put the eye together so that you could attach it somehow to the model. And it just, initially I started with the idea of trying to fix it, and that didn't work. And then the idea of trying to have it so that you had bricks going the same way all the way across, and that didn't work. And really, at the end of the day, if you go to the one that zooms in on the eye.
Let me get to that here. Yeah.
So the thing that I loved about it was having those bricks in the middle that have a joint on both sides. So then using that, and the fact that they came in black actually was a blessing, because I think if they had come in trans, I would have used the trans. But I think the black really stands out as that central dark element of the eye. And then building it from that. And of course, when I started doing this, LEGO didn't have 1x3 trans clear plates. They only had 1x1 plates or 1x2 plates if you were lucky. So when they had some trans yellow 1x3 plates, it gave it the strength it needed to then be able to build it.
So it is pretty sturdy right here then?
Oh, it's fantastic. And then but the actual attachment I used, and I'll I'll just show you this. The clips that I put on either side. I'll try and take that off. So you can, I don't know whether you can see those, but basically using those, putting those plates in were fantastic with their bar, and then being able to just to attach, to have clips on either end.
Oh, nice.
That then enable it to attach, and that was of the build. That was what it was. Making sure it's rigid, so it doesn't fall apart. It's lovely and solid. And as you said before, if you were able to devise a way that it could rotate, it can. My eye can do that. It can flip upside down.
That'd be very cool. Yeah, especially like a light on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that even just having it being able to do that is as it catches the light, looks fantastic. But that was
aim it at someone if I have the eye. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll get the screen back to you.
Let's see, back to there. Yep. Awesome.
And just basically being able to create. When I got the eye figured out, so that part, the next part was then, okay, how do I mount it? So creating those, having a plate with the bar, and then clips. So seeing that idea of using clips will help being able to and then it was that idea of, well, you're going to have one part that goes in one direction and one part goes in the other direction. And Lego, I'd love them to create a brick that actually has a mounting point on either side. Like, I reckon that'd be an awesome brick to have. They haven't created that brick yet, but I reckon one day they will. So what I had to do just in the center, you see I've hidden it with that little spike just below the point of the eye. Yep. What I did in there was actually just had two tiles that butt up next to each other, so it looks like it's a continual piece, but they're actually two side pieces that have been constructed, and that was great fun just to work out the dimensions of that. Like, I think part of this has been engineering. It's like doing an engineering degree, and I think the thing that Lego worked out really well from the beginning was each of their plates, 3 plates equal 1 brick. So it made it so much easier then to create this, because I could count how many bricks I'd used, how many plates I'd used, and then that's how many bricks I would need. And you're actually able then to make it sit really nicely in the space and have that nice central point. Yeah. Wow. So that I think, John, I'm just trying to think what else. I'm gonna have a quick look at other things I'd love to.
Yeah. A nice tour from bottom to top. Is there any other features you might potentially add? I know some Lego Ideas projects, like they add like an update partial way through of like an alternative version they could do, like possible features to add on. Like you mentioned the dressing room. Is there anything else you could add to it? Or?
The dressing room would be the one thing I'd love to do. I'd love to incorporate more torches, like more trans clear through the model, where as light hits it, those things catch. And there's a few of them in that anywhere I have the sort of thin slits, I've put trans clear reds or oranges or yellows to try and catch the light in those spaces, but they get a bit lost because of all the black. So more torches would definitely be something I'd love to do. And as you said, that idea of having the eye, so the eye could blaze like it does in that feature page. It's just
like in this image there, yeah, you're gonna see the blazing effect. Yeah. That just like brings it to life, yeah.
So the last thing I'd love to show you is on that from the front, on the bottom, view. So viewing from the front, the very bottom was how much fun I had with.
Right.
I think how much fun with the wedge plates. So each of those, I think they're called buttresses. So you can see the spears that sort of poke out using the wedge bricks. Wedge plates. So to create those, and then between them had these wedge plates with those sort of they're 1 by 2 by 5 bricks, and then had being able to put on to take some of the decoration from the Mines of Moria set, and be able to put them on those as they go around. And a bit of where I was coming from with that was a bit of a homage to that he would have had enslaved some dwarves. He would have had dwarves to build, you know, parts of the structures
building their
for him.
style, yeah.
Yeah. So I loved incorporating that idea at the base. You know, the dwarves would have helped him, you know, before, well, not helped him, but would have been slaves, and he would have learnt their technology. And as it goes up, you know, you have the room with the rings and so on. Well, the elves would have helped to design that, or before he. Yeah, I liked being able to incorporate some of those thoughts and ideas from how he would have enslaved different races, and how he would have used that enslavement to create his fortress.
And if this became a set, in a way, you'd be kind of shaping the lore, because this would be like the best image we'd have of like what it might look like in a way, like some of the interior we never got to see. Yeah,
and it's that's in the book. There's very little. It talks about pits. Yeah, there are some pits, and there's you know, the reference to spaces, but it is left very much to our imagination. I like the fact that Tolkien didn't dwell on the dark stuff. If I have a criticism of the second film, though, I think it's awesome, The Two Towers. When Tolkien writes about the Battle of Helm's Deep, it's a paragraph. It's very little. It's the same thing with the Battle of Five Armies. It doesn't occupy a page.
Like a whole movie, yeah. They completely blew that up.
And he's a survivor of the First World War, so he didn't want to glorify war at all. In fact, I reckon if his books have one message for us, you know, that idea of the smallest person, you know, the hobbits, that those who resist evil, those for whom what's most important is not gold or silver, which is the fantastic message of the Hobbit, but it's family, it's living in peace, it's telling the soil, it's having a simple life. I love that message of Tolkien, the message he had, and
he kind of reinforced that, like you can't win by strength of arms, like we never could win by open war. Yeah, he reinforced that idea.
And it's really funny reading the books at the beginning. Sam really irritated me. He's like, this guy's not a hero. He complains all the time. He whinges all the time. But at the end of the book, he was my favorite character. Like that awesome scene, which I'm so glad they did, when, you know, I can't carry the ring, you know, but I can carry you. Like, and he picks him up. It's just, I tear up every time I see it. It's such an awesome, you know, and that idea of just friendship, mateship, being there to the end, you know. And like you said, it's not through strength of arms.
Sam now. I was just say, my wife actually, she loves Sam in the movie, but in the book, we're reading through the book her first time reading through it. I've read through it a few times, but she absolutely hates Sam at the beginning. I'm like, no, just wait, he's gonna get better. Trust me, you're gonna like him like in the movie. Just wait for the payoff. Like,
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. John, is there anything else you wanted to ask about, mate?
I think you covered all the details pretty good. Let's just zoom down through the campaign. Is there any more images on here? I guess we'll quickly. What were the figures that came through? I saw the mouth of Sauron. I saw a couple orcs, a couple Nazgul. How many figures in total?
I think I had 5. I think I'll just count them in my head. So there were 2 orcs. Oh, 6. So 2 orcs. Oh, that's wrong. 7. 2 orcs, 2 ring wraiths, the Witch King, the mouth of Sauron, and Gollum. And it'd be awesome for them to design like the Smaug figure from that's frustrating, from that set. He's awesome. Like Smaug is just sensational. When they did from the Hobbit, so a ring wraith, it's not going to be pretty. Like, he's not going to be a pretty looking figure, but a ring wraith would be really cool. And there's an opportunity, I think, if they did a ring wraith, if they did a Nazgul, to then obviously have the Witch King in his Witch King armor from the Return of the King, and an Eowyn, like Eowyn in battle armor, with just like the opportunity to then go into, well, we could do the battle at the gates of Minas Tirith. You could, like, how fantastic they've done like an Oliphant from, and I'd love to design the space where the Rangers are, because we haven't got a Faramir minifigure. We haven't got a great scene. You know, same thing with Denethor.
There's got to be some of the Lego games. There's got to be some sort of figure in Lego games, though. Maybe there's like one there, like to base it off what it might look like, or.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. From the Lord of the Ring games, it's a fantastic opportunity, and that's, some people have actually created their own Sauron figure from, like, I'm not sure how they would take it out of the game, but they've then produced it in a 3D printer. So they've got this little figure He doesn't, obviously, he's just one. You can't take him apart, but they've been able to create that. I just look at it. There's so much opportunity to expand the theme and to bring it back. And as I say in my notes there, people who were young people who loved this movies are now adults. They're now adults and Lego's become such a popular part of and they've got an 18+ theme now. The opportunity to design models like mine, Minas Tirith, the battle scenes with the what are those? The towers, siege towers. I mean, I've done a little. I've done a little Grand figure. I'll just grab it to share it with you.
Like a custom Grand you made, or?
Yeah, it's just this little.
Oh, awesome! I can hear the Grand chant already. That is so cool.
It's not perfect, but this the idea, and obviously you can see it.
Oh.
I'll hold it.
I know it's probably too big, but it'd be so cool if somehow it was like stored inside of there in Barad Dur, and I can make it emerge from there and slowly make its journey outward. Yeah. That'd be so cool.
I think that the great thing that Lego do was, as they did with Weathertop, as they've done with each of their, which is lovely because it's really rare for Lego to do locations. So often they'll do cars, planes, ships, that sort of stuff. But to do a location scene, so that was what I loved that about Lord of the Rings. Lots of their sets were based in a location, and scale-wise, like Weathertop, they've reduced that scale, but you get the feel of it. So something like you're grown from your chains as it's breaking through that gate. I mean, that's just an awesome opportunity to do some. Anyway, I think I'll be inspired when this finishes, to continue to create some mocks and not worry too much about whether it gets the 10,000, doesn't get the 10,000. I think I've really enjoyed now joining Lego Lord of the Rings groups and sharing. And I can't, like, we're in isolation. I'm in Victoria in Australia, and we have the worst in our country, the worst figures as they relate to COVID. So we're still not in lockdown, but we're still in isolation. I go back to work next week, but I've been at home working from home for the last 14 weeks.
Oh, so wow.
Okay. The opportunity to take models that I've created to shows, to a Lego show, to share them with other people. I'm really excited about that, and excited about the opportunity to re-envision the scenes that I love from the books, the scenes I love from the films.
Oh, definitely. There's so much more room for it because Lord of the Rings is so vast that like a limited theme like we got, even though we got some cool sets, it just wasn't enough to cover it all. And there's definitely, if Star Wars has lasted this long, like remaking the same ships and locations over and over again, there's no reason like Lord of the Rings, which is as popular at least, like, yeah, couldn't get more life out of Lego. Yeah,
completely agree.
Awesome. I just want to make sure everyone watching knows, if you're unfamiliar with LEGO Ideas, to become an official set, you have to get 10,000 supporters and it enters the LEGO review. So if you want to help Mark out, just make sure to hit the support button. All it's doing is giving your vote to it to help that count goes up. He has about a little over a year left to get to 10,000. So if you want to see it potentially become a real set, make sure to do that. And I'll leave a link down in the video's description.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks, John. It's been awesome, mate, to have a chance to talk to you about the model, and I've been overwhelmed. I really have. A friend of mine, when I first put this together, actually bagged it. This is okay. I was like, oh, okay. He said, oh yeah, that's shit, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, okay, no worries. So so that sort of stopped the process, and I think I put it on one of the comments. It was because I'm a teacher, and one of my students in my Year 8 class saw it in the background because I'm working out of my office or my Lego room.
I'm trying to make you the coolest teacher. Yeah.
And he said, what on earth is that? So anyway, I took some photos and shared it with him, and his dad's a huge fan of Lego as well. And they went, mate, that's awesome. You should get that on Lego Ideas. That's really cool.
You get the whole school to press support. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was the catalyst, because it really, when I finished it, it was like, I got that really bad first initial feedback and just put it away. I had it, I loved it, I've got it in my office, but basically didn't tell anybody about it. So I've been overwhelmed by the positive response from people and the opportunity, just being invited, like you have invited me to talk about it. When we get back out of our...
Yeah, I knew I had to take a look at this one closer.
Oh, it's just lovely. So I can't wait to take it to some local shows. We're country Victoria, so we can't get up to the city, but the opportunity just to take it to local shows and take some of my other ideas and put it in a display with the other great Lego Lord of the Rings sets. I think they are. Like, I don't think there's a weak one in any of them. They are just really well designed, and I'd love to see them return. And now we're talking about the technology that we have, bricks that we now have that we didn't have when these were created. The opportunity to do some,
and Lego's definitely got more friendly of giant sets where we could see something like a Minas Tirith set, because like people are spending the $400-$500 price tag for like giant Star Wars sets. So why not that?
Right. Yeah, and the fact that Lego are producing like your big fig type things too, and the capacity to build an Oliphant. So I reckon they could do that now out of Lego bricks. Like some of the Star Wars figures that they've created, I don't know the names of them, but they're brick built. So brick built. What's the name of the things the stormtroopers ride? So in the first film, or the third, whatever the film, fourth film. But those
brick built figures.
The green ones, the green. They build them in micro, but the fact that they're building animals from bricks, and they look good. They're not blocky. They look finished and really cool. So that chair, I reckon, that's a great opportunity. But just how awesome would the battle of Minas Tirith look like? You got the Haredrim, you got those guys. I think there's a great opportunity. Anyway,
I'd say
I'm a fan, so that makes sense.
If Lego does reject it, if it reaches the goal, I'd say pay careful attention to why. If they just say like, oh, the design, but if they don't say anything about like, oh, we're not bringing back Lord of the Rings, and that could tell you like if you try something else like a Minas Tirith, even just a Minas Tirith gate, like there could be hope for another Lord of the Rings set getting out there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't get discouraged even if they don't accept this one, but I think there's a good chance you can. The timing is great of the Amazon show coming out soon. The theme definitely has more legs to it. But yeah, and there's definitely people wanting to build this themselves, even if it doesn't make it through Lego Ideas, who want to like learn how to make it.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, anything else you want to add before we wrap up tonight?
I think the big thing I'd say is thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone who has voted, for all the positive comments. It's been overwhelming. Thanks to everyone who shares it with their friends. Ultimately, if it doesn't make it, that doesn't matter. That what I hope it does is it inspires people to make their own sets. To get out there and
very positive message.
And enjoy Lego. It's such a fantastic hobby. I have trouble switching my brain off at night, so it's a fantastic thing to get creativity out to. It's such a positive. Pardon me. It's such a positive use of your time, and the fact that there are other Lego people that you can share, other platforms you can share your photos with, your designs with. You can. I think it's a really positive message. A message that it's a good thing. Like Lego say, Legos for life, and I think that I made a little acronym that doesn't quite work, but let every generation's imagination overflow. I've got an I in there for imagination, but that idea that Lego really engages in your imagination, your creativity, and I think it's a really positive way to get together with other people and share your ideas. So thanks to everyone. Thanks so much for your support.
Awesome, and wish you the best of luck in this. And one more time, guys, the project's called The Lord of the Rings, Sauron's Fortress, Barad Dur. The link will be in the description. You were looking for the creator name, Two Doors. And yeah, all you gotta do is hit support to give it a vote, and you're gonna help Mark make his dream come true, and this could become a real set you can see on the shelf someday. Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us tonight. And
thanks so much, John.
We'll see you guys in the next video.